Well, here goes Donald Trump. He's getting ready to get in Kasich and Cruz's butt, talking about collusion.
Collude in business. If you collude in business or if you collude in the stock market, they put you in jail. But in politics, because it's a rigged system, because it's a corrupt enterprise, in politics, you're allowed to collude. So they colluded, and actually I was happy, because it shows how weak they are. It shows how pathetic they are.
There's a lot of attention on Pennsylvania, but the next up, of course, is Indiana, and that is now ground zero when we talk about the Stop Trump movement. That state has recorded more than 64,000 Republican absentee ballots so far, more than twice the number this time 4 years ago. MSNBC's Tony DeCopel is at the Marion County Clerk's office in Indianapolis. Early voting there is taking place, and I know you were talking about some of those record-setting numbers earlier, Tony. What are you hearing from voters in terms of their reaction to this new Cruz-Kasich alliance?
Hey, Erica, two big issues for the Cruz-Kasich alliance. I mean, the first one is just reaching voters in time. You mentioned 64,000 Republican ballots already turned in. If the polls are any indication, at least 20,000 of those are likely Kasich voters, and those people are sunk. That is a vote that will not come back. Kasich will still be on the ballot, even if he's not dedicating resources to Indiana. And then the other question is just, are the Kasich voters going to listen? Well, we've talked to 5 or 6 of them today, and it doesn't look like it so far. Kasich voters are very principled, deep believers in John Kasich, and they just can't bring themselves to cross over and vote for Ted Cruz. One of them told us, I gotta vote for the guy, not the game. One Kasich voter so far is the only person we've talked to who said he's willing to do it. He doesn't like it, but is willing to do it. And then the other group, of course, is Trump supporters. They love this. This plays right into what they thought was happening all along. Backroom deals, collusion, cheating, unfair play. We caught up with one of them, asked him for his reaction. Here's what he told us.
They are failing individually, and they're trying to drag him down with them. And it's just dirt slinging now. It's nothing but desperation on their part.
Desperation on their part, Erica. And the really painful detail that we picked up today is this one. We talked to 2 Kasich supporters who were so turned off by the alliance, they flipped not to Cruz, but to Trump. Back to you.
That is not exactly what they had intended, is it? MSNBC's Tony DeCopel joining us from Indianapolis this afternoon. Tony, thank you. Former Ohio Secretary of State Ken Blackwell is a senior advisor to the Our Principles PAC. It's one of the group's leading anti-Trump efforts across the country. Ken, good to have you with us.
Now, this guy is an idiot. Steve Kornacki had him on for a segment, and Kornacki was suggesting to him that the Kasich and Cruz do exactly what they just did today, and this guy never got it. So apparently somebody must have explained it to him, and he's finally on board with what's going on here. So this particular interview with this guy is going to be a bit interesting.
We just heard there from Tony the word desperation from one of the other voters he spoke to, and then learning that 2 voters were so turned off they're now going to vote for Trump. That is not exactly the outcome that this alliance, of course, had intended. When you look at this plan that was put together by the Cruz and the Kasich campaigns, is it simply too little too late?
Yeah, it's too little too late, and the dumbasses should have never advertised it. They should have, if they were going to do it, they should have kept it quiet.
Well, no, I don't think so. At the end of the day, this is about mutual self-interest. Those campaigns saw it as in their mutual self-interest to stop Donald Trump where they can do it individually most productively. And so, in fact, they decided where they would spend their resources and where they wouldn't. As a consequence, this is all about 1237 and stopping Donald from getting there. I think that will happen. I think he will not get to 1237. I think he's going to have a decent day tomorrow where there are 118 delegates at play. But then, as you have mentioned in your reporting, Indiana is ground zero, and I think Donald has heard himself. It seems to be a more conservative electorate. I think that his embrace of a big government effort in terms of health care and his attack on religious liberty and his fundamental history of having supported liberal Democrats will not play to his interest in Indiana a week from this coming Tuesday. So as a consequence, I think that this is going to play out just fine.
He wasn't or didn't get the information about the dissatisfaction amongst the voters for this bullshit stunt. But I guess we will find out next Tuesday.
He's had a good weekend. I think that he'll have a good week next week in Indiana. And then it's a full-scale operation in California. But let me just underscore something.
They're going to get their asses kicked in California. So he can forget about that. I think Trump right now is up by 20 plus points in California. So if they're going to do something, they better get their ass in gear, because Cruz has already been out there for quite a while and Trump is still up 20 points.
It's about mutual self-interest. I think what John Kasich is doing is he's made a decision to drive his stock up. He wants to get to as close to 300 delegates as he possibly can get. He then becomes more attractive to both Trump and Cruz as a vice presidential pick. And so I think what he has done is...
So you think this is about setting himself up?
Picked a strategy to drive up his stock.
Let me ask you a little bit more there. You talk about the mutual self-interest. You say that this is really for both of them to stop Trump. That is, of course, the goal of the Our Principles PAC at this point. But it's pretty clear that the Stop Trump movement really seems to have lost steam at this point. There's not as much momentum after Wisconsin. There was a big decision not to spend money in New York. So I ask you then, in turn, you say this isn't too little too late, the combining of the Cruz and the Kasich for the alliance here. But is there too little too late from the Stop Trump movement as a whole? It really seems like it's just lost steam.
No, well, look, you can tell that it hasn't lost steam because Trump is whining, Trump is complaining, and Trump is pounding the table. There's an old lawyer's line that if you can't win on the facts, pound the table. The reality is Trump understands that his trajectory to get to 1237 is not increasing, it is in fact decreasing. He's topped out.
That is such bullshit. I wonder what this asshole is going to say after next week when Trump's got close to a 400 delegate lead over Cruz. Because if Trump, after next week, happens to win Indiana, or basically, just stay close in Indiana and pick up delegates, Cruz is gonna look like the biggest asshole in the world, and so is Kasich.
At about 40% of the votes cast, he needs to win 58%, and there's nothing that indicates that his attack on rank-and-file Republicans, his attack on the Republican Party platform is going to do anything to get him at that 58%. As a matter of fact, this is a...
Hold it. He didn't say 58%, did he? This guy is not even keeping up with the facts. Trump now needs to get approximately 52% of the delegates. And that, based on the remaining states, is absolutely doable.
Brilliant use of resources, period.
Ken Blackwell joining us from the Our Principles PAC. Appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Let's get...
Yeah, so they blew it. If they were going to do this, they should have figured this out right after, probably before Wisconsin, but right after Wisconsin, coming into New York. They should have tried to figure it out then, because if one of them had dropped out and only one really been running in New York, they might have been able to hold Trump down. But even then, Trump had 60% of the damn vote. So, he wasn't going to lose. He got 90 delegates out of 95. And it was surprising that he lost delegates in one of the districts in Manhattan, which was funny. But going forward, the road looks pretty good for Donald Trump, and Cruz and Kasich look like they're going down for the third time.